We shall have the arrival honors.
Po! Mga pinuno, tanghal. Po.
Bansang Pilipinas, kaming lahat ay nagpupugay. Mamamayan at sa buong sambayanan, ika'y nagsisilbing gabay. Ang hiling namin kay Bakala, Basbasan ang Pangulo naming pinagpala, upang bansang Pilipinas kaunlaran, kapayapaan ay makamtan.
Baba. Alis. Dadala. Alis.
Please be seated.
Baba! Po! Mahal na Pangulo, handa na po ang tanod pandangal upang libutin. Tanghal! Po! Mga pinuno, baba, alis, dadala, alis. Baba! Po! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, na Pangulo. Tapos na po ang parangal. Yes, sir. Mga kasama, lubos ang pasasalamat ng ating panauhing pandangal, Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte, sa parangal na iginawad natin sa kanya. Yung hapon. Mga baba, palis.
Ikaw ang Pangulo
Hindi ko alam eh.
para sa pagbabago.
Ladies and gentlemen, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Sa magnanakaw na tao.
Palis.
Madilim na kahapon, ikaw ang mataahon. Sa piling mo, di ko mawawala ang korupsyon. Tayo na Pilipinas, tayo na magbago. Hawak kamay tayo para sa pag-asenso.
Please be seated.
Panggot! Pakanon! Kod!
Ladies and gentlemen, we shall begin with the ceremony. You have just heard the sound of the attention call, which signals the start of the ceremony. From the right side of the grandstand, you're witnessing the entry of colors, the Philippine national flag, the colors of the major service commands and the General Headquarters Armed Forces of the Philippines, being carried by the Cadet Corps Armed Forces of the Philippines, while the AFP massed colors are being carried by the AFP composite contingents from the Army, Air Force, and the Navy Marines.
From both sides of the grandstand, you're also witnessing the entry of the troops for the parade in review. It is a division-sized troop composed of 2 brigades coming from the 3 branches of service, the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, and the General Headquarters. To your left are the contingents in their gala uniform, while to your right are the contingents in their battle dress uniform.
The 1st Brigade in their gala uniform consists of the ceremonial contingents from the General Headquarters and Headquarters Service Command Armed Forces of the Philippines, the Philippine Army, Philippine Air Force, and the Philippine Navy. While the 2nd Brigade in their battle dress uniform is comprised of the Armed Forces of the Philippines Special Operations Command, members of the Marine Corps, 7th Special Operations Wing of the Philippine Air Force, and the Philippine Army's 2nd Infantry Division.
Over the years, as the global and national socio-political environment confronting our nation evolves, and in the process brings new challenges, the Armed Forces has devoted its energy in transforming itself, holding fast to still relevant traditions while shedding off those that need reform. The AFP was once a force for independence against foreign powers and crusaders for the sovereignty of the Filipino people, but now it is a vanguard for external security, bringing peace to Filipino communities across the archipelago and paving the way for an environment conducive to unbridled prosperity. The Armed Forces is the Filipino people's staunchest defender and protector from any threat, guided by the light of justice and law. Its soldiers have been steadfast in responding quickly and saving lives of the Filipino citizens around the country.
The Armed Forces was featured in many occasions. It has proven its worth during the heights of different calamities and emergencies that struck the country. The Armed Forces reassures the Filipino people of its continued unwavering commitment to the mission to ensure peace and foster nation building with its development support and security plan Kapayapaan 2017 to 2022 and the thrust on the transformation of a professional, capable, and responsive armed forces that is a source of national pride. With utmost commitment and dedication, the armed forces will always be present to extend services for the Filipino nation and its people. Anytime, anywhere, and whatever the situation calls for, the foot soldier, the airman, the sailor, and the marine will be there to serve to achieve peace, thus bringing progress and development in the entire archipelago.
Talupad! Talupad! To! Baba! To!
Mabuhay! Welcome to this momentous occasion in the chronicles of the military institution, the Armed Forces of the Philippines Change of Command Ceremony. Today's ceremony features the testimonial review and the retirement ceremony in honor of the Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Rey Leonardo B. Guerrero.
Arrayed before you on the ground are the troops for the ceremony. 1st Brigade in their gala uniform, while the 2nd Brigade in their battle dress uniform. These troops, a representation of the 130,000 strong members of the armed forces, with utmost commitment and dedication, always extending their services for the Filipino nation and its people.
The troop commander for the ceremony is Major General Gilbert I. Gapay, Commander, Mechanized Infantry Division, Philippine Army.
Tanghal! Ta!
For the presentation of command and
Alipunan,
honors.
pokoy kamay. Ta! Alipunan, baba kamay. Ta!
Please be seated.
Baba! Ta!
The troop commander will present the troops for inspection.
Ginoo, handa na po ang mga sampanaw upang libutin.
The honoree, the outgoing Chief of Staff, will inspect the troops. He will be accompanied by the military host, Lieutenant General Salvador Melchor B. Mison Jr., and the troop commander, Major General Gilbert I. Gapay. They will also be joined by the troop staff.
General Rey Leonardo Borja Guerrero assumed as the 49th Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines on 26 October 2017. As the Chief of Staff, he aggressively pursued continuing reforms in the armed forces to attain operational and organizational excellence. His priority thrust in the area of peace and security were to decisively finish the remaining terrorist groups, effectively neutralize the communist insurgency threat, and actively support law enforcement against lawless armed groups. Operationally on territorial defense, the AFP under the leadership of General Guerrero continued to uphold and protect the integrity of our national territory, especially along the northern, southern, and western frontiers, where he pushed for more sovereignty patrols and the development of facilities in the farthest outposts. A total of 2,232 surface patrols were conducted, with 31,295 steaming hours covering 187,121 nautical miles and 1,757 air patrols with 2,440 flying hours. Further, the AFP operationalized this year the Territorial Defense Campaign Plan Kalasag 2018 to 2022 to carry out the AFP's constitutional mandate of preserving our territorial integrity. On internal security operations, the effort to neutralize the remaining terrorist groups was highlighted by the AFP's decimation of Daesh-inspired and foreign terrorist-backed DI in Marawi City that prevented the establishment of the group's self-styled caliphate or wilayat. These intensified efforts against the local terrorist groups and foreign fighters resulted in the neutralization of 148 personalities, 76 members of the Abu Sayyaf group, 68 members of the Bangsa Islamic Freedom Fighters, and 4 remnants of DI. This was also brought about by the successful implementation of martial law in the island of Mindanao, wherein 47,557 security patrols and 105 counter-violent extremism activities were conducted, wherein 123 threat personalities have so far been arrested, 95 of which have already been charged in court, while 67 are pending inquest. A total of 1,424 loose firearms were gained as a result during the first quarter of 2018 alone. The AFP likewise intensified its campaign against the CPP-NPA terrorists that weakened enemies manpowered with a massive surrender of regular CNTs and their supporters. Under the term of General Guerrero, a total of 5,304 communist terrorist group members were neutralized. 5,111 or 94% of these are surrenderers. On humanitarian assistance and disaster response, under his watch, he ensured that all AFP units were on full alert and ready to alleviate conditions and challenges brought about by the eruption of Mayon volcano and the effect of typhoons Urduha, Vinta, and Aragon. On international defense and security engagements, the AFP strengthened alliance and cooperative arrangements with other countries through involvement in various engagements, combined military exercises, and other related activities. On organization and force structure, 5 infantry battalions of the Philippine Army were activated to provide additional force on the ground. On modernization and capability upgrading, 5 modernization contracts were approved. And humanitarian or the human resource management and personnel administration, additional 15,000 personnel are procured. Ladies and gentlemen, our honorary General Ray Leonardo Borja Guerrero.
In a short while, we'll have the presentation of award to the outgoing Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Ang taong may dala ng parangal at ang mga watawat. Pasulong! Kat!
Awards and decorations are major proofs of noble acts, display of skills and competence. The presentation of award is an acknowledgement for the exceptional performance rendered especially in the military service.
Mga watawat. Pasulong! Kat!
The award to be presented is the Philippine Legion of Honor, degree of Chief Commander. This award is being presented to the officers of the Armed Forces of the Philippines for meritorious and exceptional service rendered to the country and the Filipino people.
Kawat-awat. To.
The Honorary General Ray Leonardo B. Guerrero, outgoing Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, is requested to join the color detail on the ground.
Mahal na Pangulo, ang taong pararangalan at ang mga watawat, narito na po. Tanghal! Ta!
Please rise for the honors to the nation.
Ginawa mga watawat, pukay kamay. Na! Ginawa mga watawat, kalupunan, baba. Na!
Please be seated.
Baba! Ta!
The honoree is requested to come up the grandstand for the presentation of award.
We would like to request the Chief of the Presidential Protocol, Mr. Robert E.A. Borge, for the reading of the presidential citation.
Good afternoon. The citation reads, "Be it known to all men by these presents that I, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, President of the Philippines, by virtue of the powers vested in me by law, for laudable and meritorious conduct in the performance of his duties, and as the 49th Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines from October 26, 2017 to April 24, 2018, for sterling leadership of the AFP in the faithful fulfillment of its mandate of securing the sovereignty of the state and protecting the integrity of the national territory, and in winning and securing the peace of our nation through the implementation of the AFP's Development Support and Security Plan Kapayapaan, for admirably leading the government's efforts to ensure territorial integrity, protection of the country's vital interests, and exercise of sovereign rights from the contiguous zone up to the exclusive economic zone and extended continental shelf through the conduct of vigorous and vigilant maritime sovereignty patrols, particularly in the Philippine Rise and the West Philippine Sea, for exceptional supervision, direction, and guidance in sustaining the AFP's full commitment in heeding the Commander-in-Chief's call to defeat and decimate all terrorists and lawless elements in the country, through the conduct of intensified focused military operations, thereby inflicting serious damage and dealing a heavy blow to the strength and will of the enemies, such as the Maute Terrorist Group, Abu Sayyaf Group, Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters, and New People's Army. For exemplary display of will and perseverance in instituting mechanisms to persuade enemies of the state to return to the government's fold, leading to the unprecedented massive surrender of former rebels, most notably in Mindanao. For staunchly safeguarding peace, justice, and security by ensuring and upholding the judicious and lawful implementation of martial law in Mindanao, resulting in the second extension of martial law being deemed instrumental to annihilating terrorism threat. For diligently orchestrating, executing, and overseeing search, rescue, and retrieval efforts of the AFP in the conduct of various humanitarian assistance and disaster response operations during the onslaught of several typhoons in the islands of Palawan, the Visayas and Mindanao region, and the eruption of Mayon volcano in the Bicol region. For stellar display of commitment in strengthening ties and integration among ASEAN member states through the active and fruitful participation in the ASEAN Chiefs of Defense informal meeting, as well as the ASEAN Chiefs of Operations informal meeting and ASEAN Chiefs of Intelligence informal meeting, which highlighted the AFP's pivotal role in the continuing effort for socio-economic growth and sustainable development in the country and in the Southeast Asian region. For firm resolve in upgrading the level of professionalism, integrity, and transparency in the organization through the implementation of programs and policies that aimed to improve the AFP's internal systems and processes, aligned with its mission vision, guided by the AFP Transformation Roadmap towards a well-rounded and transformed armed forces. For market ingenuity and resourcefulness in ensuring the AFP's operational effectiveness and tailoring of its organizational strategy to the flexibility of the security landscape through relevant force restructure and organizational development initiatives. For sustaining initiatives to prioritize the capability upgrade and modernization of the AFP, increasing both its internal and external defense capabilities, thereby optimizing its responsiveness to secure the Filipino people and the state. For remarkable dedication in sustaining the breakthroughs of the AFP in its genuine transformation journey and inspiring subordinate personnel and units to fully embrace the transformation vision, paving the way to a consistently high trust and approval rating of the stakeholders. And for upholding the highest standards of professionalism consistent with the AFP's core values of honor, service, and patriotism, have caused to be inscribed in the roster of the Philippine Legion of Honor the name of General Ray Leonardo B. Guerrero, AFP, Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, with the rank of Chief Commander, Punong Comandante, done in the city of Manila this 18th day of April in the year of our Lord, 2018.
We'd like to request Mrs. Jane R. Guerrero, Mom, to join your husband and assist as he receives the award. President Rodrigo Roa Duterte is now requested to present the award to be assisted by the Secretary of National Defense, Delphine N. Lorenzana.
Thank you very much to the President, to the Secretary of National Defense, and to Mrs. Guerrero.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for our honoree.
Mga watawat, sumalunan. Cut!
We shall proceed with the change of command ceremony. Please rise for the invocation to be officiated by the Most Reverend Bishop Oscar Jaime L. Florencio, Doctor of Divinity, the Military Bishop, Military Ordinariate of the Philippines.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. God of all love and Father of all mercies, you blessed your chosen people with righteous leaders and courageous prophets. You who have accompanied your people with your loving mercy and abundant grace. You who sent your Son, Jesus Christ, to teach us the fullness of life, humility, and eternal life. You who send us the Holy Spirit to inspire us in every event in our lives. We humbly pray for our country, the Philippines. Lead us to the way of peace. Bring us to the life of grace and guide us to the race of hope. We thank you, Lord, for General Ray Leonardo B. Guerrero, AFP, for his courage and heroism in fighting the menace of the society and building peace in our country. Bless him, O God, and his family. Shield them from every contagion of evil. Almighty God, you govern the people with justice and love. You accompany us to experience your presence and to encounter your glory. Bless now our President and Commander-in-Chief, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Continue to enlighten him in all his decisions, enliven him in his leadership, and enkindle in him the fire of service. God of all, we seek your divine protection and implore your blessings on Lieutenant General Carlito G. Galvez, AFP. Send him the leadership you have given to Moses, the wisdom you have bestowed to Solomon, and the courage you have conferred to David. Guide him as he assumes his office. Be with him in his service to the Filipino nation. Strengthen him as he continues to build peace. We all ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Please be seated.
The Adjutant General Armed Forces of the Philippines, Colonel Maxima O. Ignacio, will read the relief and designation orders.
General Headquarters, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Camp General Emilio Aguinaldo, Quezon City. General Orders Number 453, published on 18 April 2018. Section 1, Paragraph 1, Termination. The designation of General Ray Leonardo Borja Guerrero. Officer Das 8951 as Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines is terminated effective 18 April 2018. Section 2, Paragraph 1, Designation. Lieutenant General Carlito Guansing Galvez Jr., Officer Das 9267, is designated as Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines effective 18 April 2018 by command of General Guerrero. Official Narciso A. Vingson Jr., Vice Admiral, Armed Forces of the Philippines, the Deputy Chief of Staff. Signed, Maxima O. Ignacio, Colonel, Philippine Air Force, General Staff Corps, the Adjutant General.
The outgoing Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Ray Leonardo B. Guerrero, will read and sign the order for his relinquishment of command.
Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Camp General Emilio Aguinaldo, Quezon City, 18 April 2018. Office Orders Number 11-18, Relinquishment. Pursuant to Section 1, General Orders Number 453, General Headquarters, Armed Forces of the Philippines, dated 18 April 2018, I hereby relinquish the duties and responsibilities of the Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, effective this date. And I sign in your presence.
The outgoing Chief of Staff will order the AFP Sergeant Major, First Chief Master Sergeant Lito S. Tompayugan to hold down his personal flag.
The change of command ceremony this afternoon affords us to share with our guests and colleagues one of the Armed Forces of the Philippines' customs and traditions. For the outgoing Chief of Staff, as he relinquishes his duties and responsibilities to his successor, one of his last orders is the lowering of his personal flag. At this moment, this also symbolizes the closure of his 38 colorful years of military service. The encased personal flag of the outgoing Chief of Staff, AFP, will now be presented by the AFP Sergeant Major.
The incoming Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Lieutenant General Carlito G. Galvez Jr., will read and sign the order for his assumption of command.
General Headquarters, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Office of the Chief of Staff, Camp General Emilio Aguinaldo, Quezon City, dated April 18, 2018. Office Orders Number 1218, Assumption. Pursuant to Section 2, General Orders Number 453, General Quarters, Armed Forces of the Philippines, dated 18 April 2018, I hereby assume the duties and responsibilities as Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, effective this date, and I sign in your presence.
We shall now witness the handover of the command symbol to be presided by President Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Saber is a representation of trustworthiness and steadfastness. This represents responsibility. Saber is associated with military leadership and warfare.
The new Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Lieutenant General Carlito G. Galvez Jr., will now give his first order to raise his personal flag. He will also give his remarks.
Raise my flag.
For the new Chief of Staff, one of his first orders is the raising of his personal flag. This represents that he is now in command of the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Sir, with the permission of our guest of honor, may I give troops tickets penga? General Gapay, please give our troops tickets penga.
Tikas! Ha! Kalpunan, tikas. Ha!
To our distinguished guest of honor and presiding officer, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, Mayor Rodrigo Roa Duterte, sir. To the Vice President, Madam Maria Lenore Herona Robredo, ma'am. Former President Vidal V. Ramos and also former Chief of Staff, sir. Former President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo and now Congresswoman of 2nd District of Pampanga, madam. House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez, sir. To the Cabinet Secretaries headed by Executive Secretary Salvador Bingbong Campo Melvialdea, Secretary of National Defense, Secretary Delpin Negrillo Lorenzana, with wife Madam Edith Lorenzana, ma'am. The Special Assistant to the President, Secretary Christopher Lawrence Bongo, TESDA Director, Secretary Giling Jean Mamunjong, Secretary John Rualo Casesiones of Department of Agrarian Reform, Secretary Roy Simatu, Secretary of Environment and Natural Resources, Secretary Eduardo Año, Officer in Charge of the Department of Interior and Local Government, and former Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Presidential Advisor on Foreign Affairs, Secretary Abdullah Mamao, to our immediate Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Ray Leonardo Guerrero and wife, Mrs. Jane Guerrero, and their children, Gabriel Antonio, Victor Paulo, Rafael Waldo, and Labina Ray. Most Reverend Bishop Oscar Jaime El Porencio, the Military Bishop, Military Ordinate of the Philippines. To my family, my wife, Marisa, and our only daughter, Mary Frances Therese. My tatang, Carlito Gonyong S. Galvez Sr., and my nang, Lourdes Ocaña Guansing Galvez, and my 11 siblings. Pasensya na po, hindi po kami nag-family planning po, sir. 12 po kami magkakapatid. Members of the Diplomatic Corps, His Excellency Winaing from Myanmar, and His Excellency Lee Quoc Tuan from Vietnam, official from Malacanang, Secretary Artur Itabaquero, Presidential Advisor on Military Affairs. Happy birthday, sir. Secretary Salvador Espanelo Jr., Chief Presidential Legal Counsel. Secretary Hermogenes C. Esperon Jr., National Security Advisor. Police Director General General Alex Monteagudo, Director General of NICA. ASEC Jonas George Soriano, Executive Director, Office of the Cabinet Secretary. USEC Ferdinand B. Cui, Head of PMS. ASEC Jonas George Soriano, Executive Director of Cabinet Secretary. Members of House of Representatives present. Congresswoman Bai Sandra Sema from Maguindanao, ma'am. Congresswoman Ruby Sahali from Tawi-Tawi. Congressman Manuel Jose Dalipe from Zamboanga City. Congresswoman Rosita Ley Purigay from LGU Lamitan City. Congressman Jose Antoni Jonathan Arway Salvador from Bulacan. Congressman George Almonte from Misamis Occidental. Congressman Federico Santobal of Malabon City. Congressman Manuel Monsieur Tim Del Rosario III from Makati. Congressman Pedro B. Charon from South Cotabato. Congressman Mauyag B. Papandayan from Lanao del Sur. Congressman Ansarudin A. Majong, also from Lanao del Sur. Congressman Leopoldo Batawil from Pangasinan. Officials from the Department of National Defense, former Secretary of National Defense, Commanding General Philippine Army, General Voltaire Tubera Gasmin, sir. Secretary Gilberto Chudoro, sir. Sir Orlando Caorli Sanchez Mercado. Lieutenant General Cardoso Luna, sir. Former Chief of Staffs, Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Lisandro Abadia. General Benjamin P. Defensor, the Presidential Advisor on Anti-Terrorism. General Dionisio R. Santiago, former SOCOM Commander and CGPA and Chief of Staff. General Generoso Esenga. General Victor S. Esbrado. General Emmanuel T. Bautista, the Executive Director of the Cabinet Cluster on Security and Peace and Justice, and my former boss in J3. General Hernando DCA Riberi and wife, Ma'am Agnes. Lieutenant General Glorioso Miranda and Ma'am Caroline. Former Major Service Commanders, Vice Admiral Ferdinand S. Goles. Lieutenant General Jaime Del Santos, my boss from G1 before. Lieutenant General Arthur Ortiz, our Medal of Valor awardee. Special visitors, Major General Restituto Padilla, former CGPA. Lieutenant General and Mrs. Rab Villanueva. Major General and Mrs. Jovenal Narcisse. From the AP leadership, Lieutenant General Salvador Melchor B. Mison, sir, Vice Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, and Ma'am Cherry Mison. Vice Admiral Narciso A. Bingson Jr., the Deputy Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, and Dr. Beth Bingson. Major Service Commanders, Lieutenant Rolando Joselito B. Bautista, the Commanding General of the Philippine Army and the Commander of Joint Task Force Marawi. Vice Admiral Robert D. A. Pedrad, Flag Officer in Command of Philippine Navy, and wife Lesilda. Lieutenant General Galileo Gerard R. Quintanar Jr., the Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, and wife Marlene. The Unified Commanders and Campaign Commanders and their ladies, Lieutenant General Emmanuel B. Salamat, Comnolcom, Lieutenant General and Mrs. Penamin Madrigal Jr., Commander Ismingcom, Lieutenant General and Mrs. Rosano B. Brigues, Comwestmingcom, Lieutenant General and Mrs. Paul Atal, Comcencom, Brigadier General and Mrs. Alan Arojado, Commander John Task Force NCR, Lieutenant General Pamonag, who is also Marawi hero, Heads of Uniform Service, Chief PNP Police Director General Ronald Bato Marapon de la Rosa, Commandant of Philippine Coast Guard Admiral Elson E. Hermohino, other guests, members of the Joint and Personal Special Staff, and Commanders-in-Chiefs of the AP-wide support and separate units headed by PMA Superintendent Lieutenant General Donato S. B. San Juan and their ladies, the members of PMA Maharlika class of 1984 and their ladies, please rise. Thank you for coming, ma'am. Members of the Diwa class of 1985 and their ladies, please rise. My Charlie's Angels. Thank you. Our enlisted personnel corps, led by AP Command Sergeant Major, First Chief Master Sergeant Lito Tampoyogan, and the civilian employees of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, from the National Organization of Bridging Leaders, General Rustico Guerrero, former West Bingcom Commander, Asek Bombayan Kader of the DSWD Arm, Yusek Milo Gudmalan of the SWD Central, and Dr. Alin Minalang from Lanao Provincial Health Office, President and General Managers of the AP Financial Institutions, retired generals and flag officers, from the Office of the Presidential Advisor for the Peace Process, Assistant Secretary Dixon Hermoso, the ALG ASEC for Peace and Order, my forever buddy, ASEC Alexander Macario, my co-fellows from the Eisenhower Fellowship Association of the Philippines, headed by our chair, Jaime Augusto Sobel de Ayala, my mentors, former Secretary of DAR, Professor Ernesto D. Garilao, Mr. Ariel Hayi Hernandez, for Governor Miguel Rener Dominguez of Sarangani Province, Ma'am Judge Duela Posquera, Ombudsman Special Investigator, Lieutenant Colonel Harold Cabunok, and my mentor, Lieutenant General Ismael Villarreal, former Vice Chief of Staff, the Metrobank Foundation Incorporated President Aniceto M. Sobrepeña with third salang, Rotary Club of Makati Metro President Attorney Roy Joseph Raffles, local government officials from my birthplace, Bustos, Bulacan, Mayor Arnel Mendoza, and our governor in Bulacan, Governor Wilhelm Mino C. Alvarado. I would like to mention the representatives, governors, and mayors of my major assignments in Mindanao, Congresswoman Baisandra Sema of Cotabato City, from Sultan Kudarat, Congressman Suharto Teng Mangudadato, from Maguindanao, Congressman Sajid Mangudadato and his wife Geraldine, from Zamboanga, Congressman Celso Lobregat, Congressman Wilter V. Palma with Governor Wilter from Zamboanga, Sibugay, from Sultan Kudarat, Congressman Suharto Teng Mangudadato, Congressman Ruby Sahali Tawi-Tawi, a bridging leader, Congressman Abdullah Dimapuro from Lanao del Sur, Congressman Khalid Dimapuro from Lanao del Sur, also a bridging leader. Please stand to be recognized, please. All the bridging leaders. The governors under Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, headed by Regional Governor Mujib Sataman, Governor Pasilan Jim Saliman Hataman, Sulu Governor, former Governor Sakortan, and his son, Governor Abdus Sakor Abubakar Tototan, from Tawi-Tawi with Governor Rasudin Matba and wife Governor Angela Amante Matba of Agusan del Norte, Maguindanao with Governor Ismael Toto Magundadato, Sultan Socodorat with Governor Sultan Pakong Pax Magundadato. We also have with us Assemblyman Haber Asarul from ARM, Assemblyman Rene Matimbang. I would like also to especially mention the local chief executives of the municipalities of Western Mindanao Command, our partners in our quest for peace. First, let me mention Zamboanga City Mayor Maria Isabel Ben Climaco Salazar, and of course, his husband, retired General Triponio Salazar. The Iron Lady of Cotabato City, Mayor Francis Cincha Guyani Sayadi, Mayors from Basilan Municipalities, Mayor Darussalam Lajid of Albarca, Mayor Rosita Rose Purigay of Lamitan City with Vice Mayor Roderick Purigay, Mayor Ali Sali of Akbar, Mayor Alkin Akbar of Isabela City, Mayor Rustam Ismail of Lantawan, Mayor Hani Bud of Maluso, Mayor Jamar Mansur of Hajid Mutamad, Mayor Gulam Saliman Sataman of Sumisip, Mayor Mukhtar Junaid of Tabunlasa, Mayor Ingatun Lakman Jr. of Tipo-Tipo, Mayor Duri Kalahal of Tuburan, Mayor Jomar Maturan of Kayapukan Basilan, Mayor Janari Disomimba from Tamparan Lanao del Sur, also the local chief executives of Central Mindanao. We have Mayor Samsamin Ampatuan of Raja Buayan, Mayor Tahirodin Bensar Ampatuan of Masapano, Mayor Princess Sakaluran of Lutayan Municipality, the Chief of Languyan Tawi-Tawi, Mayor Ismail Sali is also here, Vice Mayor from the Municipalities Basilan Province, Vice Mayor Cherilyn Akbar from Isabela City, Vice Mayor Muner Manisan from Tabunlasa, Vice Mayor Abdul Hataman from Sumisip, Vice Mayor Husin Kalang from Tuburan. Also, the distinguished members of the Bangsa Moro Transition Commission, headed by Chairman Gadsali Japar and Mohakir Iqbal, please rise. Our friends from the MILF, headed by Sir Sami Kambar Al-Mansur, the Chief of Staff, Chairman Yusuf Jikiri, Muslim Sema, and Datu Randy Caron from the MNLF, Attorney Liza Alamia, Executive Secretary of ARM, Attorney Nur Kirby Abdullah of SILG ARM, my other guests, let me mention Maripi Hernandez, the Social Development Manager of San Miguel Corporation, Mr. Ricky De Castro, also from Team Energy, Ms. Rosemary Mami Rose Kwan from Zamboanga City, friends from Basilan Province, Mr. Danny and Mrs. Dayan Puno, Mr. and Mrs. Ignacio Natividad, Attorney Edgardo Padilla, Ms. Marilu Estacio, the Grand Mufti of ARM, Dr. Abdul Kaid Tarason, the Claret Parish Priest Julius Buado, our beloved veterans, other retirees, my classmates from Holy Child Academy in Bustos, Bulacan, my kababayans, my classmates from CGS class Luna 47, please rise. Our partners from the media, most especially from the Defense Corps, from Cotabato and Zamboanga cities, the heroes of Marawi, the ground commanders down to the soldiers, sailors, airmen and marines deployed to liberate the city, please stand to be recognized. Our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank the Lord Almighty Allah for saving me in many battles and giving me this great honor to serve our country and people as the 50th Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. His divine protection and wisdom has always been my guide, and His mercy, I pledge to do what is right and pleasing to Him. With much humility, I would like also to express my deepest respect and gratitude to the President and Commander-in-Chief, Mayor Rodrigo Roa Duterte, for the trust and confidence in entrusting in me the responsibility as the 50th Chief Protector of the people and the state. I would like also to take this opportunity to thank the President for the care and inspiration that you have given to our soldiers during the Battle of Marawi. Your compassion with empathy to our casualties and wounded soldiers is simply phenomenal, that drive us to move on despite the perils and achieve our mission the best way we can. I also thank our Secretary of National Defense, General Delpin and Lorenzana, for his strong support and for the continuous mentoring starting from my transformative years as a young Ranger Lieutenant with ASEC Alex Macario as my buddy in Davao City. Sir, thank you for letting me survive To Secretary Bongo, thank you, sir, for your extreme kindness and sense of fairness when you told me, just continue, trabaho lang po. To Secretary June Esperon, Secretary Jess Duresa, Secretary Tabaquero, Secretary Dominguez, Secretary Mamunjong, Yusek Ray Mapago, and Yusek Cesariano, thank you for your moral support. To the Chief of Staff and the members of the Board of Generals, thank you for your commendation and endorsement to this highest post of the armed forces. General Guerrero, sir, thank you for recognizing the importance of the role of the unified commands in winning AFP campaigns. I will always cherish our lighter moments, patrolling with Augusta Helicopter AW-109 along the boundaries of our southernmost frontier in Mardanas Island and the origin of the Islamic faith in the Philippines in Simonol Island. To my mentors and former Chief of Staff, particularly General Ibrado, General Llano, General Senga, General Esperon, thank you for your inspiration and continued guidance and critical advice. To General Año, the Secretary of Interior and Local Government and our Course Director in Intelligence, thank you, sir, for your advice to move on. To Professor Ernie Garilao, the former Secretary of DAR, Mr. Washington Sisip, Mr. Derek Chilbers, former CEO of John Hancock, Mr. Jaime Sobel de Ayala, the current chairman of the Eisenhower Fellowship Association of the Philippines, and my other co-fellows for helping us in liberating Basilan from the tentacles of the Abu Sayyaf. Our Eisenhower Fellows to the Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao, Province of Basilan, under Mujib Hataman and Governor Jib Saliman, are currently working on the reformation and livelihood of our more than 200 ASG rebel returnees. To the people of Basilan, Cotabato, Maguindanao, Sultan Kudarat, Zamboanga City, Sulu, Tawi-Tawi, and Marawi City, for your hospitality in providing me a homely place. Kaya nagtataka si Mrs. na hindi na ako umuwi. Masyado na akong at home. Ma'am Beng, thank you for being so kind. To the Carmelite Sisters and Sister of Poor Clares, Claretians and Oblates headed by Cardinal Orlando Cobedo, Sister Wate, Sister Susan, Sister Agnes, thank you for your prayers. To my MILF, MNLF brothers, they are now here. Thank you for joining us in our fight against the Maute ISIS and the BIFF and against drugs and in neutralizing Basitusman. To the West Mingcom team and Marawi heroes, thank you for your sense of honor and commitment to accomplish our mission and serve the people of Mindanao with compassion, malasakit, and brotherly care. To my wife Marisa, the love of my life, and my only bining-bining Pilipinas ng buhay ko, thank you for your love and care, especially during the lowest ebb of my leadership journey. To Mary Frances Therese, the fruit of our undying love and the greatest gift that God has given us, thank you, anak, for your continuous prayers and inspiration. Thank you for reminding me always that in all things, God may be glorified. To all my relatives, inang and tatang, maraming salamat sa pagpalaki nyo sa akin ayon sa palabra de honor, that a man without honor is dead. To late Washington Sisip, for always reminding me to keep the armed forces clean. As I assume command of the armed forces, I now address my fellow officers, the men, women, and civilian employees of the armed forces of the Philippines. Our Commander-in-Chief has directed us to defend the Filipino people from all enemies of peace and democracy. With your unwavering support, I intend to carry out this order to the best of my abilities. For decades, Filipinos have been fighting against fellow Filipinos. The CPP, NPA, and DF has long brought misery and sowed enmity among our people. The Abu Sayyaf and other local terrorist groups have long held communities in the grip of terror. Daesh and ISIS and the Battle of Marawi have just very recently shown us how truly destructive violent extremism can be. We have won many battles, but we have yet to win the war. Violent extremists and their corrupted ideology remain a threat. Too much blood has been spilled. Too many lives have been lost to terror and hate. It is the time to rebuild and reconcile with our Filipino brothers and sisters. We must now walk the path of peace. I now extend to our misguided brothers and sisters a chance to end all conflict. Hundreds of your comrades have already stuck arms and abandoned your hopeless cause, and they have seen by themselves that our government is a just and fair government. Your armed forces, sworn to protect every single Filipino, invites you to abandon your pointless struggle and return home to your families and your community. Even though we soldiers are warriors, we shall always prepare the path of peace. Hence, we shall support all peace initiatives of the government. We shall more vigorously work hand in hand with government agencies, non-government organizations, and other stakeholders to address the underlying cause of conflict. We shall keep our door open in all peaceful possibilities. Toward this end, I enjoin all peace-loving Filipinos, most especially our Muslim brothers and sisters, to stand with us in the fight against all forms of violent extremism. We will pursue with even more vigor our campaign to end insurgency and terrorism, which, with your help, we will definitely win. Together, we shall render the cause of insurgency irrelevant, for it can only thrive where discord prevails. Together, we shall defeat Abu Sayyaf and all other local terrorist groups, for terrorism only works when people are divided and afraid. Together, we shall drive Daesh and other violent extremists from our shores, for extremism dies in the light of a people united and strong. I take this opportunity to reiterate our full support to the peace process with the Moro Islamic Liberation Front and the Moro National Liberation Front. We look forward to the final peaceful political resolution of conflict in Mindanao. We will strengthen our existing peace mechanisms and revitalize the peace and development offices at the unified command levels to more effectively address the grievances of the people of Mindanao and create conditions for a just and lasting peace in the South. We shall walk the path of peace, but we shall never hesitate to use force against who would dare to disrupt that peace. We will remain ever vigilant, willing to ensure that all agreements are observed, but equally willing to strike when innocent civilians are threatened. Today, the AFP enjoys the trust of the Filipino people. Our legitimacy and credibility as the protector of the Filipino people and state stand unquestioned. It is therefore our responsibility, our obligation to our people to repay their trust and confidence with nothing but our genuine, selfless, and professional commitment to the promotion of their security, their interests, and their welfare. Transparency and good governance shall be the beacon that guides our thoughts, our words, and our actions. We shall always adhere to our core values of honor, service, and patriotism. We shall never tolerate corruption and mediocrity. Our integrity shall never be compromised. In this, I wish to express my support for our Commander-in-Chief and his crusade against illegal drugs and criminality. Illegal drugs are anathema to any civilized society. Marawi showed us how the terrorists use illegal drugs to fund their campaign of terror. As long as criminality and illegal drugs exist in our society, our people will never be safe and secure. We will collaborate with the support of our government agencies in the fight against illegal drugs and criminalities. We shall act as a team in the fight against this evil plague. Soldiers, airmen, sailors, and marines, we dream of becoming a world-class armed forces. We aspire to be a source of national pride. We have become a long way in transforming the armed forces into what is today. However, much remains to be done for us to completely transform into a 21st century army capable of protecting the Filipino people, safeguarding Philippine sovereignty, and ensuring our territorial integrity. Fellow Filipinos, I thank you for your unwavering trust and confidence in our armed forces. I promise you now that every soldier, airman, sailor, and marine now under my command shall perform their duty with utmost resolve, determination, and integrity. However, we can only win and attain a just lasting peace with your help and support, inshallah. Let us work together to create that peace. Muli, salamat sa inyong tiwala sa aming mga sundalo. Mabuhay ang sandatahang lakas ng Pilipinas. Mabuhay ang mamayang Pilipino. That in all things, God may be glorified. Shukran.
Lieutenant, manda.
Thank you very much to the new Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Mga sampanaw! Da!
We shall move on with the retirement ceremony of General Rey Leonardo Borja Guerrero.
General Guerrero, sir, please stand and step forward as the Adjutant General, Armed Forces of the Philippines, reads the retirement order.
Republic of the Philippines, Department of National Defense, General Headquarters, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Camp General Emilio Aguinaldo, Quezon City. General Orders Number 101, published on 18 January 2018. Compulsory retirement, pursuant to Sections 5A and 17 of Presidential Decree Number 1638 as amended and in consonance with Presidential Administrative Order Number 150 dated 04 January 1990, General Rey Leonardo Borja Guerrero, Officer DAS 8951, Armed Forces of the Philippines, having completed 38 years, 1 month, and 9 days of active military service in the Armed Forces of the Philippines from 16 March 1980 to 24 April 2018, is compulsorily retired in the rank of General with retirement pay based on the salary grade of General with PIP longevity pay effective 25 April 2018 by order of the Secretary of National Defense, Official Rey Leonardo B. Guerrero, General, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Chief of Staff, signed Maxima O. Ignacio, Colonel, Philippine Air Force, General Staff Corps, the Adjutant General.
We'd like to request General Guerrero, sir, to remain in front to be joined by Mrs. Jane R. Guerrero as we shall proceed with the presentation of the command plaque, plaque of honorable service, and framed medals.
Would like to request the new Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Lieutenant General Carlito G. Galvez Jr., for the presentation of the plaques and framed medals, to be assisted by the Deputy Chief of Staff for Personnel G1, Major General Arnel M. Duco.
In grateful acknowledgement of his eminently meritorious and valuable service rendered as the Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines from 26 October 2017 to 18 April 2018, the command plaque is hereby presented to General Rey Leonardo B. Guerrero, Officer-8951, Armed Forces of the Philippines. In recognition of his 38 years, 1 month, and 9 days of faithful and honorable service to the Armed Forces of the Philippines from 16 March 1980 to April 2018, the plaque of honorable service is presented to General Rey Leonardo B. Guerrero, Officer-8951, Armed Forces of the Philippines.
The framed medals is presented, which contains all the awards and decorations the honoree was conferred with during his tour of duty. The spouse, Mrs. Jane R. Guerrero, will be presented with a plaque of appreciation.
In grateful appreciation of her unselfish, faithful, and devoted support to her husband's lasting contribution and dedicated service to the AFP and to our nation, the plaque of appreciation is presented to Ms. Jane R. Guerrero.
Thank you to the new Chief of Staff and to J1. This time, the Philippine flag will be presented to the honoree. President Rodrigo Roa Duterte is requested for the presentation of the encased Philippine flag to the honoree to be assisted by the Secretary of National Defense.
The symbol of aspirations and existence as men and women in the noble profession of arms, the Philippine flag. This will be presented to General Guerrero. The flag is an embodiment of a great nation. This carries several symbols of which would remind General Guerrero of his fruitful years of military career.
Thank you very much to President Duterte and to the Secretary of National Defense.
Let us hear the valedictory address of our honoree. Please welcome General Ray Leonardo Borja Guerrero.
With the permission of our guest of honor, Troop Commander General Gapay, please give the troops tigas penga.
Tigas! Ha!
To our guest of honor and presiding officer, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, the President of the Republic of the Philippines and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, Vice President Maria Leonor G. Robredo, Speaker Pantaleon D. Alvarez and the other members of the House of Representatives present, former President Fidel V. Ramos, also a former Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo and now Congresswoman of 2nd District of Pampanga, Secretary Delfina N. Lorenzana, the Secretary of National Defense, and Mrs. Edith Lorenzana, Lieutenant General Carlito G. Galvez Jr., newly designated Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, and his lovely wife and daughter, Most Reverend Bishop Oscar Jaime Florencio, the Military Bishop, Military Ordinariate of the Philippines, my wife Jane and my children, Gabi, Paulo, Rafi, and Nina, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Cabinet Secretaries present, headed by Executive Secretary Ejaldea, officials from Malacanang, Secretary Arthur I. Tabaquero, Secretary Salvador Espanelo, Special Assistant to the President, Secretary Christopher Lawrence Go, Secretary Hermones Esperon, Undersecretary Ferdinand B. Cui, Jr., Police Director General Alex Monteagudo, Assistant Secretary Jonas George Soriano, officials from the Department of National Defense, former Secretary of National Defense, Secretary Gilbert Chodoro, former Chiefs of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, former Major Service Commanders, the AFP leadership, Lieutenant General Salvador Melchor Mison Jr., the Vice Chief of Staff, Vice Admiral Narciso Vingson Jr., Deputy Chief of Staff, members of the AFP Personal Joint Technical and Special Staff, Major Service Commanders, we have Lieutenant General Rolando Joselito Bautista, Commanding General of the Philippine Army, Vice Admiral M. Pedrad, Flag Officer in Command of the Philippine Navy, Lieutenant General Quintana Jr., Commanding General Philippine Air Force, commanders of the unified commands. Allow me to mention each one of them. Lieutenant General Salamat, the Warden of the Northern Luzon Command. Lieutenant General Benjamin Madrigal Jr., Commander of the Eastern Mindanao Command. Lieutenant General Ross Brigues, Commander of PESCOM. Lieutenant General Danilo Pamonag of the Southern Luzon Command. Lieutenant General Paul Atal of the Central Command, and General Arujado of the Joint Task Force NCR. Police Director General Roland De La Rosa, Chief of the Philippine National Police, and other PNP officers present. Rear Admiral Elson Hermohino of the Philippine Coast Guard and other Coast Guard officers present. Members of PMA Maharlika class of 1984 and their ladies, please rise. Members of PMA Sandiwa class of 1985 and their ladies, also please rise. My brothers from the UP Vanguards Incorporated, my brother Masons from Kagitingan Lodge number 286, my high school classmates from Espiritu Santo Parochial School, my relatives, the Guerrero clan. Tayo po kayo para makilala. Ando po sila sa kabila. Local chief executives from Western Mindanao, our enlisted personnel corps led by the AP Command Sergeant Major, First Chief Master Sergeant Lito Topayugan, and the civilian employees of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. The officers and enlisted personnel civilian employees of the Office of the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, members of the Foreign Armed Forces Attaches and their ladies, our friends from the AP Multi-Sectoral Governance Council, AP Financial Institutions, Heroes Foundation, and the Association of Generals and Flags Officers, members of the AP Officers Ladies Club, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. 6 months ago, I stood on the same stage and pledged to serve and lead as the 49th Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. I knew not what challenges or trials would come my way, but I was certain that whatever lay ahead, I would not stand alone, for I had the strength and the soul of a formidable fighting force. In my life as a soldier and an officer, there's only been one sure thing, that anything could happen, good or bad, fortuitous or unfortunate, peaceful or chaotic. And for all that could happen, I had only one response: to do my best under any and all circumstances. By the grace of the Almighty and the guidance of our Commander-in-Chief, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, the last 6 months have been mostly good, fortuitous, and peaceful. The events that happened were challenging, and our collective response as Team AFP have made us victorious as we made progress in as many fronts as possible. And it must be said, I have been able to do my job because every man and woman of the Armed Forces of the Philippines has done the best job possible. With the indulgence of our guest of honor and speaker, Mr. President, I respectfully submit my tour of duty report as the 49th Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. The first book is the technical report that contains the details of everything that the AFP has accomplished since I assumed command. The past months as the Chief of Staff of the AFP have shown me why the Filipino fighter is in a class of his own. And we have proudly documented their achievements in a span of less than 6 months in the second book entitled Filipino Courage, Filipino Compassion, AFP Strong. A fitting homage to the fighting spirit and passion to serve of every soldier, airman, sailor, and marine spread all over the archipelago. From the strong push against the communist terrorists to the rehabilitation of Marawi City, to the processing of the thousands of rebel surrenderers, the Armed Forces of the Philippines have stayed focused on making peace the priority and the norm across our lands. At that time, I promised I would talk less and work more. I believe I did this as promised for the last 6 months. And on this, my farewell appearance, I take this opportunity to talk more, even for this last time. For there is much to speak of and much more to be thankful for. Labis akong nagagalak sa pagkakataong ito, hindi lamang upang magpaalam, kundi upang magbigay pugay at magpasalamat sa lahat ng tumulong at nakisa sa standang lakas ng Pilipinas. For the vigilance in preserving and defending our territorial integrity, we acknowledge the contribution and the hard work of our unified commands, supported by our non-government organizations and their local government units. The security of our waters and the islands from north to south and east to west pose a challenge, one that the AFP and its unified commands consider as a priority. Be that as it may, we have put our collective minds to work and found support from the highest authorities to ensure that the resources we need are made available. For the continuing influx of surrenderers coming down from the mountains and camps of the insurgency movement, we thank the local government units and the national government agencies for their proactive, focused efforts. The whole-of-nation approach to win the peace in the remaining communist insurgency-affected areas is bringing them back to the fold, mainly because there is a program that addresses their needs and specific units tasked to facilitate their return. For the ongoing rehabilitation efforts in Marawi, we are grateful for the cooperation and support of the local leaders, non-government organizations, private entities, and the community itself. The process of rehabilitation is time-consuming and painstaking, requiring patience and thoroughness from the AFP's operating units, as securing the area from any mines or booby traps is the first step to rebuilding Marawi. The outpouring of support has continued to inspire and to enthuse the concerted effort to fast-track the rehabilitation process. For the partnerships against terrorists and criminals that have been reaping rewards in all unified commands, we thank the communities, the people themselves who have joined forces with the armed forces of the Philippines to put up a solid defense. The solid partnership between soldier and citizen stands a major deterrent against illegal activity and terrorist efforts in every place where our flag flies proud and free. The levels of interaction and trust must have paved the way for soldiery-citizenry dynamics to be open, cooperative, and purposeful. We especially acknowledge all the former rebels who laid down their arms and returned to the government's fold. That you now realize the false promises and twisted lies is a testament that the burning passion and enduring commitment of our gallant soldiers in the field will reign supreme over the blind and twisted ideology and religious extremism. For the quick and responsive action during typhoons and disasters, we thank the different AFP units who have specialized skills in humanitarian assistance and disaster response operations. We also thank the NGOs who have been partnering with the AFP to deliver relief goods and provide shelter and other basic needs during times of crisis. We continue to learn and build resilient, responsive teams that are quick and efficient when call for action comes. For the new equipment, mobility resources, and firepower that we are using to guard our borders and to put a stop to the insurgents, we express our gratitude once again to President Rodrigo Roa Duterte for prioritizing the operational needs of our units and the welfare concerns of the soldiers and their families. The successes we have had in the area of soldiers' welfare is all because we have a Commander-in-Chief whose generosity and concern for the soldier is expressed not only in words, but in solid, concrete action. Mahal na Pangulo, mula sa bawat opisyal, sundalo at kawani ng Armed Forces of the Philippines, maraming salamat po. Every retiring officer has his own lessons to share, and I follow in that tradition of leaving my own simple reminders to the officers and personnel. First of all, to all soldiers, airmen, sailors, and Marines, being in the military service is not about you. It is about the institution. It is about the country. It is about the people we serve and secure. In everything that you do, think of the institution and the nation above all else, before yourself. Remember always that the AFP is a professional organization. It is not a social club. Too often, professionalism and excellence are overlooked in the effort to live up to social norms and expectations. Stay the course, stay true to our core values of honor, service, and patriotism, and live up to the ideals of soldiery and public service. Second, leaders set the tone and point the way. Those who lead must know where to go and how to get there. Lead your men and women with vision, lead with direction, lead with action, and always remember that your example is the benchmark for everyone else. So do good, keep your integrity, loyalty on the flag and country. Third, keep your word, deliver on your promise, fulfill your oath every single day. By our fidelity to your oath and by sincerity of your actions are you measured and appreciated. And at the end of the day, it is your character and your track record that will tell your story. Many a time during my years of service, the events that brought many twists and turns in my career had given me a moment to pause. And I asked myself, what does the service want of me? Through the years, I understood and found the answer. The service wanted the best of me, and every challenge was not only a test of character, but also a chance to learn not only strategy and tactics, but also patience and perseverance. I hope my record of service speaks of my life in uniform, guided by the core values I learned at PMA of courage, integrity, and loyalty, and the core values of the AFP of honor, service, and patriotism, complemented by the Masonic tenets of brotherly love, relief, and truth, and the vanguard shibboleths of duty well performed, honor untarnished, and country above all. The last 34 years have given me the rare opportunity to see and be part of many changes. Among the many highlights in the field and in service, these are the most memorable. To see communities break out of the insurgency stranglehold and thrive without any more fear. To experience the change in the attitude of the citizenry towards the AFP and become partners on a continuing basis. And to be part of the transformation that continues to invigorate every member of the AFP and the soldiers themselves. Above all else, there is one fundamental truth that has been a constant source of strength. Natatangi at walang katulad ang sundalong Pilipino sa pakikipaglaban, sa pakikipagtulungan, sa pakikipagkapwa. Bilib na bilib ako sa sundalong Pilipino. I have only the highest respect and admiration for our soldiers who have been able to do so much with so little. Ano man ang kondisyon, kulang man ang gamit, pagod man sa labanan, mawalay man sa pamilya, humarap man sa mga nakaambang panganib, walang reklamo at alinlangan, buo at matatag ang loob, laging handang magsakripisyo para sa bayan. Dahil sa tapang, sa gilas, sa tiyaga ng sundalong Pilipino, walang pagsubok na hindi kakayanin, walang kalagayang hindi maiayos, walang pangakong pagtulong ang hindi tutuparin. Sa bawat sundalo, noon at ngayon, taas noo at buong puso ang aking pagsaludo sa inyo. Salamat sa inyong walang katapat na serbisyo. I have one last reminder to the men and women in uniform. Stay true, stay strong. Follow your mandate at all times. And when in doubt, remember our pledge. On this memorable moment, I look back with appreciation on my humble beginning and look forward to a promising armed forces that I will be leaving behind. I was happy and excited to join the AFP in the Army in 1984. Today, I am happier and prouder that the armed forces that I will be leaving behind is one with direction, with a roadmap that guides it to its desired destination. A professional armed forces of the Philippines that is genuinely transforming, one that is persevering to become truly world-class, one that the Filipino nation can and will truly be proud of. I am very fulfilled to have made my humble contribution in this endeavor. It has been an honor to have served in this uniform and to have served with the men and women of the Armed Forces of the Philippines in every command and in every position that I have been given. As I leave the service, there are just a few more expressions of gratitude that must be said. Foremost of all, to the Lord Almighty, the great architect of the universe, the divine author of everything. To our Commander-in-Chief, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, Sir, salamat po na marami sa tiwala at sa suportang binigyan niyo sa akin at sa buong Armed Forces of the Philippines. To our Secretary of National Defense, Secretary Delfin Lorenzano, thank you, sir, for the guidance that you have given me, which have been truly helpful during my term. To the AFP Command Group, the Vice Chief of Staff, the Deputy Chief of Staff, the Major Service Commanders and the Unified Commanders, the Chiefs and Commanders of the AFP-wide support and separate units, members of the Joint Personnel Technical Special Staff, the Office of the Chief of Staff, AFP, and the Office of the Secretary Joint Staff. Your unwavering support and steadfast adherence to our mission are very much appreciated. To all my former bosses, my mentors, for honing me to be the best version of myself through their constant guidance and thoughtful tutelage. Sa lahat ng opisyal, sundalo, at kawaning sibilyan na sa natatanging lakas ng Pilipinas, tanggapin ninyo ang aking taus-pusong pasasalamat at paghanga sa inyong galing, tapang at katapatan. To the local government leaders, non-government organizations, and communities who have made it possible for the AFP to win the peace, thank you for your patriotism and your faith in the AFP. Finally, and with emphasis, my heartfelt and most profound thanks to my wife Jane and children Gabi, Paulo, Rafi, and Nina. I have come this far because of your love, your understanding, your patience. I share every victory, every milestone, every star with all of you. Now that everything has been said, let me leave with a final salute to the men and women of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Salamat sa karangalang mamuno sa pinamagaling at pinamagigiting na mandirigma at tagapagtanggol. Salamat sa pagkakataong maglingkod bilang sundalong Pilipino. This is Jagger Guerrero, now signing off.
Thank you very much, General Guerrero, sir.
Mga sampanaw!
Secretary Delfin N. Lorenzana, Department of National Defense, will now introduce the guest of honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Kindly sit down. Thank you for the courtesy. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Vice President Maria Leonora Robredo. You have the same name with Maria Leonora Rivera. She the heroine of Rizal. Magandang pangalan, ma'am. Former President, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Former President, my idol, my mentor, my lahat, my critic. Sali mo na lahat dyan. President Fidel B. Ramos. House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez. The exponent or the proponent of the divorce law. I am sorry, but I cannot follow you. My daughter is not happy with that. Really. Mag-usap na lang kayo ni Sarah. The Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Carlito Galvez Jr., former Chief of Staff, General Ray Leonardo Guerrero. Alam mo, sir, matagal nang bakante yan eh. I'd had to extend your services because of what was ongoing war in Mindanao. Specifically, yung Marawi. Kaya yung Marina, yung director, ang silya doon, multo na ang nakaupo. It's about time na you report to that office by next week, perhaps. The officers and enlisted personnel of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, my Moro brothers and sisters in and out of government, the private sector. Salam alaikum. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I consider it an honor to join all of you today in congratulating General Ray Leonardo Guerrero for his successful tour of duty as the 49th Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Okay, sir. I'm sorry, sir. To the commanding general, kindly give the thing take us pahinga. I can understand you, sir. I am also tired.
Tigas! Ha! Kalipunan, tigas. Ha!
Thank you. Upon assuming command of the AFP in October last year, immediately after the liberation of Marawi City, General Guerrero was met with great expectation to follow in the footsteps to those who came before him. Under General Guerrero's exemplary leadership, and AFP successfully facilitated our clearing and reconstruction efforts in Marawi, all the while preventing the surgence of any terrorist threat that could have escalated to another conflict and hampered the city's progress. General Guerrero ably led the clearing of all major roads, bridges, schools, and places of worship, and with the help of the DPWH and the NHA, authorized the deployment of engineering units to assist in the construction of temporary shelters for internally displaced persons. One of the most notable accomplishments of General Guerrero's short but impressive stint as Chief of Staff is the unparalleled number of communist and terrorist surrenderies. From less than 800 prior to his assumption, the number of surrenderies rose to more than 5,000 during his tour of duty. Congratulations, sir. These achievements have not come without cost, but let me assure our uniformed personnel, kayong lahat po, that the government remains committed in enhancing your capabilities, promoting your welfare, and looking for the needs of the fallen and injured and their families. Within 6 months after AFP Chief, General Guerrero has competently and effectively continued the tradition of dedication and hard work to those who came before him and left a legacy of his own for future leaders to follow. His efforts have strengthened the foundations of not only stronger but a better military, but also a safer and more secure Philippines. As General Guerrero marches towards his final review of our troops, I am confident that the AFP will continue to move forward in the right direction under the leadership of our new Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Carlito Galvez. With an excellent and motivated workforce behind General Galvez, I am optimistic that the AFP will sustain its gains and remain at the forefront of our fight against all threats of our sovereignty. Therefore, I ask our troops to support leadership, including all in government, of General Galvez's term and remain steadfast. Of course, General Galvez, in your mission ensuring safety of our people and the security of our land. I am with the people's unwavering trust and confidence and fueled by the highest degree of professionalism and competence. It is only through our combined efforts as a people and as a nation that we can achieve lasting peace and sustainable development. Mabuhay kayong dalawa, General Guerrero and General Galvez. Now, I hope that is not the final applause. I still have something to say. Let me just state my case as a worker of government. It was not the military who arrested the nun, the Catholic nun from Australia. It was upon my orders implemented by the Bureau of Immigration. And I take full responsibility, legal or otherwise, for this incident. I ordered her to be investigated, not deported at once, not arrested, but to invite her to an investigation for a disorderly conduct. You know, in our laws, the Philippine laws provide that I can deport you or refuse you entry if you are an undesirable alien. Look, I'm addressing to the Filipino nations. I can swallow, I can take all attacks from the Lumads to the highest religious orders of all sorts, from my brother Moro, from the military, from everybody. Ang hiningi ko lang, you are a Filipino. You are entitled really to criticize. Freedom of expression is unlimited and it goes for everybody. But to otherwise undermine and treat the Philippines like a mattress then to wipe with your feet, that is something else. I will not, it's not an, I am a politician. I have been enduring attacks almost for 40 years, nearing 40 years after my term, ang siyala. Pero kung insultuhin ako, under the cloak of just being, what? A Catholic, a priest? And you are a foreigner? Who are you? No, it's a violation of sovereignty. I am with the executive department. I am a worker of that department and I give the orders. And the order of who would its end and who goes out is with me. Not in Congress, not in the Supreme Court. Ako ang magsabi being there in that office in Pasig. Papasokin mo yan at mabait na tao. Huwag mong papasokin kasi walang hiya ang bunganga ng madring yan. You do not have that right to criticize us. But you can come here and enjoy all the sights. And I could invite you to attend. Ako, politi ako, but do not insult us every time that you open your mouth with your foot inside at hanggang tilaok mo, throat. Huwag ninyo akong dictatorship, oppression. The military forces in this ground will guarantee the Filipino nation that there will be a dictator and there will never be anybody who would extend this term even for 22 hours. They are bound by the throne of that flag. They are not bound to Northern loyalty to me, and I do not like it. Pero habang akong nandyan, do not insult my country. Because you come here and go, akala ninyo, we never did that to Australia. We never did that to European country. Ikaw, Madre, why don't you criticize your own government the way you handled the refugees, hungry and dying, and you turned them back to the open sea? And now you're getting rid of the natives there and refugees in an island. Bakit hindi ka magyak-yak doon? You are too presumptuous about looking at the Philippines. May human rights violation, kayo mas grabe. E buti dito, kriminal ang pinapatay ko, kayo. Men, women, and children seeking sanctuary. Under the heat of the sun and in the coldness of the night, you drove them back to where they came from, and you know that they were also being rejected from the country which they were trying to flee. Kayo marami kayong sakit ng ulo. Do not just pretend that you are because you're a nun or priest. I said, who are you? Your God is not my God. Remember that. The way you adore God, it's to warp and to corrupt. Stick to your own religion and try to correct the abuses within your organization. To address homosexuality and malpractices and adulterous priests. Putang. Then you come in messing up with us with this neoliberalism of yours. You are trying to promote international or geographical governance. That's the modern trend, the West imposing their values on us. Please do not do that. Go home and try to solve your own problems. European community, you cannot even handle the refugees. Son of... beginning today, I will decide who gets in, who gets out. You want to question that, you go to court, and I will follow. But until then, you do not mess up with the sovereignty of this country. You treat it with disrespect, you come here with, you stink, and you try to defame government. Wag ako, kaya ko. You know, gusto mong murahan, I can give you a mouthful, but it's not for the solemnity and the dignity of... Kaya wag ninyo ako. Kayong mga left, do not ever try to invite. I will not allow them in this country. And if they decide to enter surreptitiously, they will be arrested. But if you come here, just deliver your piece about human rights in a proper way. Pero kayong mga on the other side of the fence, kayong mga komunista, kayong mga left, huwag ninyo akong I decide Kung gusto ninyo kayo, eh di sana tumakbo kayo ng pagka-presidente. Di nanalo sana kayo, di inyo na. I have a duty to protect this country. If every time your loud mouth opens up, you say, it was the military who... It's not their job. That is not a job of the military, watching whether who goes in and out of the Philippines. Huwag ninyong abusuhin. Ay kung ganon, then you will suffer, not us. Sabi ko na sa inyo, baka akalain lang ninyong isa akong ignoramos galing Mindanao. Ay, let's see. Bukan nga natin. Martial law. Why would I need a martial law? My mom said, I can order your investigation. Anybody. 6, 9, 36 hours for investigation purposes. It's legal. And especially if you shout there, sabihin mo mga military, mga pati taga-gobyerno, mga gago, mga ano. Who are you? Just because you're inan? You go back to your country and try to ponder the enormity of your problems. Kaya hindi ako pumunta dito. Your race seems to be an every Westerner in town. You think that you are far more superior than us, the Malay race. You try to impose your values. You go about selling an idea from the State Department that if you agree to a same-sex marriage, we will give you this assistance. Eat your money. I don't give a... You can have your money. We will survive. Kakain kami ng... But the Philippines is not a pasture. It is not a grazing land for just any carabaos and animals like you to graze in the fields of... Huwag ninyong... Hindi ako papayag ng ganun. Nabali ako, wala pa rin kayong magawa. You try to ask me, then, if I try to commit abuse, then there's the military and the civilians. There's the President Ramos. President Garcia, Arroyo. And generals there. Ba, wala ba itong mga utak? They would know a dictator. They can sense a son of a bitch. So do not worry. Their loyalty is there. Oh. Ayan. It's flying. This is where our loyalty belongs. You come here and insult us, you trample with our sovereignty. That will never happen again. I assure you, if you begin to malign, defame government in any of those rallies there, I will order your arrest. The only reason why she was released was she was not caught in flagrante delicto, meaning to say she was not caught during her berating the government. Sino ka? Sira tuloy ang barong ko. Kasira ka ng porma. Do not give me that. Pare ka pati. We do not share the same God. Your gods, or God, are different from mine. You do not have any authority more than mine. My God has common sense. Your God does not have it. Salamat.
Thank you very much to President Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Mga sampanaw! Pa!
please be seated. We shall proceed with the pass in review.
Ano po lang, sa likod ko. Cut! Pasok! Proceed! Cut! Kanang balikat! Ha! Talupad, unang talupad, pasulong! Cut! 3, 5, 6.
I'd like to request General Guerrero, sir, to proceed down the grandstand for the